Can you stand on one leg for just 10 seconds? If not, don't ignore it. After age 60, that simple test can reveal something far more serious than poor balance. It could be a warning that the muscles keeping you walking, climbing stairs, and living independently are quietly disappearing. Doctors call it sarcopenia, and after 60, it speeds up every single year. But here's the part almost nobody tells you. This isn't just a problem of aging. It's also a problem of nutrition. Researchers have identified specific everyday foods that help support muscle growth, rebuild strength, and keep your legs working the way they should. Today, we're counting down the 10 best foods to rebuild weak legs after 60. Food number 5 is something many seniors avoid before bed, even though it may be one of the most important foods for aging muscles. Food number 7 grows in backyard gardens, and researchers found it was linked to significantly stronger knees. If you enjoy evidence-based health tips backed by science and timeless wisdom, subscribe to Sacred Chronicles and give this video a like. We post new videos every week to help you stay stronger, healthier, and independent for years to come. Now let's start with food number 10. Food 1. Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt. The strainer's secret shepherds discovered centuries before science caught up. Long before high protein was a marketing label, shepherds across Greece and the Eastern Mediterranean strained yogurt through cloth. They needed something that would survive a long journey without spoiling. They had no idea they were concentrating one of the most powerful muscle-building foods on Earth. Here's why that matters. Straining removes the liquid whey and lactose. What's left behind is protein, nearly double what regular yogurt contains. A single cup delivers 18 to 24 grams. That's close to half of what a senior needs in one sitting to trigger muscle repair. But here's what most people miss. It isn't just about hitting a number. Greek yogurt contains 2 kinds of protein working on 2 different clocks. Whey acts fast. Casein acts slow. And clinical research has found that high-protein yogurt builds muscle mass and strength just as effectively as whey protein isolate, when it's paired with resistance training in older adults. Same results. No powder. No shaker bottle. There's a second benefit almost nobody talks about. It's called the gut-muscle axis. Chronic low-grade inflammation is one of the hidden drivers of sarcopenia, and it often starts in the gut. High-protein yogurt has been shown to increase the diversity of gut bacteria and boost beneficial strains like Coppercoccus, bacteria that may help calm the inflammatory signaling that quietly eats away at muscle over time. Then there's the calcium. After 50, your body absorbs calcium less efficiently. Skip it and you risk something researchers call the calcium paradox. Minerals get pulled out of the bone and deposited in the artery walls instead, weakening the very structure your leg muscles anchor to while doing nothing good for your heart. Yogurt's calcium goes where it's supposed to go, into the bone matrix that keeps your legs load-bearing. A simple bowl of plain Greek yogurt, a spoon of honey, a handful of walnuts. That's not a snack. That's a 2,000-year-old recovery formula. It just happens to also be breakfast. Food 2. Whole eggs. Whole eggs. The gold standard protein farmhouses never stopped trusting. For generations, a farmhouse breakfast meant eggs straight from the coop, yolk and all. Nobody separated the whites out for health reasons back then. Turns out they were right not to. A large egg delivers about 6 grams of protein. Small number, but it contains all 9 essential amino acids, a complete package in one shell. Here's what most people miss. The real value isn't in the white. It's in the yolk. The yolk is one of the few natural sources of vitamin D. And vitamin D receptors sit directly on muscle cells. Low levels are consistently linked to slower walking speeds and higher fall risk. Skip the yolk, and you're throwing away the one ingredient your legs actually need. Eggs also supply choline. Choline becomes acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter responsible for signal transmission at the neuromuscular junction. That's the exact handoff point between your brain telling your leg to move and your leg actually moving steadily. For seniors who notice a little wobbliness on uneven ground, that handoff matters more than any supplement bottle on the shelf. 2 eggs alone won't deliver enough leucine to fully trigger muscle repair. Not on their own. But paired with Greek yogurt or whole grain toast, they become what researchers call an anabolic anchor. The piece that pushes the whole meal over the threshold your muscles need to respond. Your grandmother's 2-egg breakfast wasn't old-fashioned. It was precision nutrition, decades ahead of the label. Food 3, wild salmon. Wild salmon. The cold water fish coastal communities relied on before omega-3 was even a word. From the fishing villages of Scandinavia to the Pacific Northwest, communities built entire diets around fatty fish. Their joints held up into old age. Their mobility held up too. That wasn't luck. A 3.5-ounce serving of wild salmon delivers 22 to 25 grams of high-quality protein, nearly 1,000 IUs of vitamin D, and a potent dose of omega-3 fatty acids, EPA and DHA. Here's what most people miss. Omega-3s aren't just good for your heart. They're natural anti-inflammatories. They directly inhibit the cytokines that drive muscle wasting and joint degradation, 2 of the biggest culprits behind weak legs after 60. A 2021 study found seniors who ate just 2 servings of oily fish per week saw measurable improvements in hand grip strength, muscle mass, and gait speed. In 2 months. Not 2 years. There's a second layer most people never connect. By calming inflammation in the synovial fluid of the knee and hip, salmon eases the very joint pain that keeps seniors from doing the strength training their legs actually need. That's rare. Most foods treat a symptom. This one breaks the cycle that's causing it. A simple baked fillet twice a week. That's not dinner. That's an anti-inflammatory prescription that happens to taste like one. Food 4, lean beef. Lean beef. The iron-rich staple harvest tables never went without. On working farms, a slab of beef on the harvest table wasn't a luxury. It was fuel. These were people whose legs carried them through fields all day. They knew, without ever reading a study, that plant food alone wouldn't cut it for that kind of physical demand. A 4-ounce serving of lean beef delivers roughly 3.4 grams of leucine. That makes it one of the only single foods strong enough to independently trigger the muscle-building mTORC1 pathway in older adults. Most foods need to be combined to hit that threshold. Beef does it alone. Here's what most people miss. Beef's value isn't only protein. It's rich in heme iron, the kind your body actually absorbs efficiently, unlike the iron found in plants. Iron builds myoglobin, the protein that stores oxygen inside muscle cells, and hemoglobin, which delivers that oxygen there in the first place. One clinical study of hospitalized older patients found iron deficiency was an independent risk factor for impaired muscle strength, separate from age-related muscle loss itself. 2 different problems. Iron deficiency makes both of them worse. Beef also supplies vitamin B12 and zinc, both required for tissue repair, both required for DNA synthesis, the literal rebuilding instructions your muscle cells need to regenerate. For seniors who find red meat harder to digest, slow cooking it or choosing leaner cuts like round or loin keeps the nutrients intact while making it far easier on the stomach. This isn't just a Sunday roast. It's oxygen delivery, tissue repair, and muscle triggering in a single cut of meat. Food 5, cottage cheese. Now for the one I promised you at the beginning. And I know it sounds unbelievable. Most seniors are told not to eat before bed. Here's why that advice is wrong. Cottage cheese is made mostly of casein, a slow-acting protein that forms a gel in the stomach and releases amino acids into the bloodstream slowly, over 6 to 8 hours. That's the exact opposite of what happens overnight without it. While you sleep, your body naturally shifts into a catabolic state. It starts breaking down tissue for fuel. Your own muscle. Consuming 20 to 40 grams of casein before bed, roughly 1 to 1.5 cups of cottage cheese, has been shown to actively promote muscle protein synthesis overnight in older adults. It counteracts that breakdown while you sleep. You're not just resting, you're rebuilding. Here's what most people miss. Cottage cheese is also a leucine powerhouse. Nearly 2.9 grams per cup. That's almost the entire per meal threshold a senior needs to trigger muscle repair in one food, which makes it especially valuable if you can't manage a large plate of meat at the end of the day. A bedtime bowl of cottage cheese isn't undoing your day. It's rebuilding your legs while you're unconscious. If you're starting to see the pattern, that the most powerful foods for rebuilding strength are already sitting in your fridge, hit that like button right now. It helps this video reach more people who want to stay strong and independent as they age. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit subscribe and ring the bell. Back to the list. These foods only get stronger from here. Food 6. Tofu and tempeh. Tofu and tempeh. The plant-based staples that fed entire nations without a single steak. Across East and Southeast Asia, generations built strong, working bodies on soy alone. Long before plant-based protein was a shelf label in a Western grocery store, it was just dinner. Tofu is a complete protein. All essential amino acids in one food. It also carries isoflavones, which may offer additional anti-inflammatory support for joint health. Tempeh, its fermented cousin, goes further, roughly 2.3 grams of leucine per cup. Here's what most people miss. Plant proteins face a real disadvantage. Research shows vegans and meat eaters can build equal muscle over 12 weeks of match training. Equal results. But the vegan group typically needs about 50% more total protein volume to get there. That's not a reason to avoid plant protein. It's a reason to be strategic with it. Pair tofu or tempeh with pumpkin seeds, edamame, or nutritional yeast. That closes the leucine gap without overwhelming a smaller senior appetite. For anyone avoiding meat by choice or necessity, this isn't a compromise food. It's the same muscle-building math, solved with a different set of ingredients. Food 7. Leafy greens. Here's the one I teased at the very beginning. Spinach, kale, arugula. They've grown in backyard gardens for generations, valued for filling a plate. But their real power for rebuilding leg strength happens before the food ever reaches the muscle. Leafy greens are rich in dietary nitrates. The body converts those nitrates into nitric oxide, which improves blood flow to the lower limbs. Better blood flow means more oxygen and nutrients reaching muscle fibers during activity. It also means faster clearance of the metabolic waste that causes soreness and stiffness. Here's what most people miss. This isn't a small, theoretical effect. The Australian Diabetes, Obesity, and Lifestyle Study found people with the highest nitrate intake had 11% stronger knee extension strength than people with the lowest. 11%. And they completed a standard mobility test 4% faster. Leafy greens also supply vitamin K1, which the body converts to vitamin K2 to support bone density. That reinforces the very bones your leg muscles pull against as they get stronger. Stronger muscle pulling on weaker bone is a problem. Greens solve both sides of that equation at once. A simple side salad of arugula or spinach isn't just a vegetable. It's a vascular upgrade for your legs. Grown for pennies in a backyard bed. Food 8. Blueberries edited version. Blueberries. The small berry doing the coordination work your legs can't do alone. For generations, wild blueberries were foraged from hillsides and hedgerows, prized for their sweetness. Nobody knew they were also protecting the exact brain-to-leg connection that decides whether a stumble becomes a fall. As people age, the coordination between brain and leg muscles, called psychomotor function, often declines. Oxidative stress, neuroinflammation, both chip away at it. Blueberries are rich in anthocyanins, compounds shown to improve behavioral and neurological deficits in aging models. Here's what most people miss. This isn't a minor, abstract benefit. Clinical studies in older adults found eating 2 cups of blueberries daily for 6 weeks significantly improved gait, steadiness, and balance. 6 weeks, not 6 months. In dual-task testing, where seniors had to walk while simultaneously reciting the days of the week backward, blueberry supplementation reduced step errors and improved foot placement accuracy. That's the exact skill that fails first when someone trips on a curb or a loose rug. Blueberries help protect the neural pathways managing that complex movement, lowering the odds that a misstep turns into something worse. A small bowl each morning isn't just antioxidants. It's a coordination upgrade for the exact moment your foot needs to land correctly. Food 9. Beans and lentils. Beans and lentils. The pantry staple that quietly prevents the cramps nobody explains. Long before refrigeration, dried beans and lentils sat in nearly every root cellar and pantry. Valued for lasting through winter, their real contribution to leg strength has nothing to do with shelf life. Legumes like black beans, lentils, and chickpeas are rich in magnesium, involved in over 300 biochemical reactions in the body, many directly tied to muscle function. Here's what most people miss. Magnesium is required for both muscle contraction and muscle relaxation. Both directions. A deficiency is one of the leading causes of muscle cramps and spasms in older adults, the kind that jolts you awake at 2 a.m. with your calf locked up. Beans also supply potassium, an electrolyte essential for fluid balance and nerve signaling. Add 11 to 15 grams of fiber per cup, and you're supporting a healthy gut microbiome too, which matters because inflammation from a struggling microbiome is one of the quiet drivers of muscle wasting. One caveat worth knowing. Beans aren't a complete protein on their own. Pair them with a small amount of animal protein or whole grains, and you round out the full amino acid profile. A humble bowl of lentil soup isn't just comfort food. It's a cramp prevention formula your grandmother's pantry had covered the whole time. Food 10. Sweet potatoes. And finally, the food that makes every other item on this list actually work. Sweet potatoes have fed working bodies for generations. Not just because they're filling, because of what they refuel. Carbohydrates are the body's preferred energy source, stored in muscle as glycogen. Here's what most people miss. If you're doing the resistance training your legs need to rebuild strength without enough carbohydrate fuel in the tank, your body breaks down its own muscle tissue for energy instead, quietly undoing the exact progress you're working for. You could eat perfectly all day and still lose ground, simply because the tank ran empty at the wrong moment. Sweet potatoes also deliver a strong dose of beta-carotene, an antioxidant linked to better grip strength and overall muscle health in adults between 65 and 85. Add the potassium, which supports recovery and helps prevent post-exercise cramping. And because they're naturally soft and easy to digest, they're one of the few energy-dense foods seniors can rely on, without the toughness of high-fiber whole grains getting in the way. This isn't just a side dish. It's the fuel that lets everything else on this list actually rebuild the muscle it's meant to. If you made it all the way to the end, you now know something most people are never told. Weak legs after 60 aren't something you just accept. They're a nutritional problem. And the solution has been sitting in ordinary kitchens the whole time. The Greek shepherd's strained yogurt, the farmhouse egg breakfast, a bedtime bowl of cottage cheese doing repair work while you sleep. These aren't old habits. They're useful, powerful, worth rebuilding your plate around, starting today. So here's what I want you to do. Smash that like button if this changed the way you think about aging and leg strength. Drop a comment. Which food surprised you most? Team cottage cheese. Team leafy greens. Team salmon. I read every comment. I love hearing from you. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit subscribe and ring the notification bell so you never miss a video. The next time you stand up from that chair, don't just accept the wobble. Reach for what actually rebuilds strength, and give your legs the fuel they've been asking for all along.